We're good.
Right on. All right, man. I figured out what went wrong. I set up our daily private active traders in are also Robinhood traders possibly, and look at analysis, right?
Hey, big day down yesterday. Big day up today, of course.
Right.
No rhyme or reason. No new prices. Where are we? What's going on?
Hold on. Well, so this is going to be, if you watched this on Periscope earlier, this is going to be a little repeat performance. But I want to do this so I get Matt's input on it. And I already went through Sam Adams, the divergence between Bitcoin, S&Ps, gold, and crude. But first, let's retell the story, or let me retell the story. Whoops, something went wrong. Hold on. There I am. Can you hear that?
I can hear you. I can't hear the video, but I can hear you.
How about now?
It's trying. It's really low. Anyways, you had a beer yesterday, and
had a buoy beer. I'm devastated that you can't hear the audio because the technology seems to be working.
We can find it on Twitter. Follow me at Mistrade. You'll see the video. And
there we go, Mistrade. Right, they've already seen it. Anyway, as we talked, Matt, I completely missed the boat on the whole craft beer movement back in the let's call it the late '90s. Actually, I guess mid 90s was more when it first kicked off. And, I think part of the problem with craft beer was nobody was very good at it to begin with. And the first time I tasted Sam Adams, I spit it across the room and thought there's no chance this gets any traction. And I would have been selling short Sam Adams, till the cows came home. I moved to Central Oregon and, I have developed and evolved my palate.
An affinity for.
Say that again?
An affinity for craft beers.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, I pulled up the Sam chart. Why don't you pull it up on the profile and talk about Sam Adams? Because what a moonshot this thing's had since the Corona.
Yeah, well, not only is it a moonshot, Bobby, but here's the thing. This is what I wanted to talk about today. Not only are we overvalued in all tech stocks, every name you can think of, right? Those are easy, but good Lord, I mean, what on earth propelled Sam Adams here post-Corona? Why is this thing up, 3x? I mean, we went from 320 to 1080. I mean, this is insane. We were talking about it yesterday. I knew it was up here, but I didn't realize that it tripled. It's 3.5. And, this is a 610-minute chart. So this is really going back 3 years. So basically, in these years, just because it's trading $240 to 400, that's like 24 to 40, right? That doesn't mean much, right? So it's not a huge percentage move. But when you go from 320 to 1080, that's a 3.5x. Why? I mean, we didn't do anything besides trade 24 to 40 for those 3 years. And now we have Corona. So Sam Adams is worth 3x where it was.
Again,
I'm not a fundamental guy, so I'm not going to get into the fundamentals. But I look at this chart and I go, warning, Will Robinson. This is, this Dr. Smith says this is crazy, Will Robinson. It's crazy.
And that's I like the analysis back in the day. How's the voice? Am I getting an echo? Because I can't figure out.
All good here. All good.
All right, beautiful. Back in the day, I remember when Amazon, first hit the airwaves, and they were like they'd have to sell every book that was ever published in the history of humanity to make sense of their, their valuation. Well, it turns out the market was wrong again, that they didn't end up just selling books, but, the evolution of that company for sure was not the story that was being told or that people were pricing it against. Now here, you look at this valuation with Sam. I mean, how many beers, let's talk Boston
and,
here.
and it's
How
not
many
even,
beers do we need to drink for this, for that valuation to make sense?
well, and it's a $13 billion market cap. And this is not, like you said, this is a macro micro. I mean, what do you call it? It's a mid-tier brewery. Again, I have no idea fundamentally, so I can't even speak to it. I'm going to sound silly. But the point is, shit has gone crazy. It's gone wacky, and everybody's chasing anything they can for alpha. And I sure wouldn't want to chase a beer stock that's up, 300% in 6 months. But that's just me. It's just flavored water. It's really, what is this?
I do like their Oktoberfest. I will tell you that.
All right.
To talk about the palate evolution too. I mean, the regular IPA, I about choked on. Their Oktoberfest started to get me in the mood, and then I moved to Bend, right? And the palate evolved.
Well, so we're gonna be doing more suds reviews, and you're gonna be doing most of those, I'm sure, and we'll have some fun with that. But again, there's plenty of breweries. What do we have? 30 something here in Central Oregon. And then we've got, everybody else wants to sell their beer to Oregon because everybody likes, different beers here. So we're going to be testing out some beers, not just local beers, but all macro. And hey, what the heck? We'll even throw in a Rainier now and then just for old times.
Something to clean the palate with.
PBR. That's right. Hey,
Right.
I want to talk a little bit, Bob, while we have a few minutes here today. Let's talk a little bit about Zoom. Let's talk about technology. This is that same 610-minute chart on Zoom, but I want to dive in a little bit because this stock has gotten crushed and people aren't talking about it. They talk about it when it goes up all the time, but it has just come off $100. And I did a video actually earlier today suggesting that if you're looking for a pullback, you're getting pretty close to getting one. And again, let's just look at a shorter time frame, say the last month. We're right back into value here, Bob. And short-term trade, like for the next week or two, as long as 450, 460 holds, I think the profile suggests this is bullish. Like we had this blow off top. And folks, if you're looking for, expanded momentum in a market, which again, if you're looking for long opportunities, here's one with low risk. You buy the 450 calls deep in the money, you sell the 450 puts. Two ways to do it, right? Or you can buy stock outright if you're sitting on tons of cash. But I'm not quite ready here at 484. We're down 6% today alone, and we're down from 589 to 484. So that's $105. We're getting close to 20%. We're getting close to technical bear market territory. But I say with stocks that have gone up like this, it's hard to say 20% pullbacks of bear market anymore because these things just went up 10,000%.
Right, exactly. Sam being that case, it's up 300%. What is 20% pullback?
Well, no, I mean, here's the thing. You want to look at Zoom. Beginning of the year was trading $60. So this thing went up 10x already this year. 10x, 10 freaking x. So we went from I've been using Zoom for 4 or 5 years. It's definitely the best product I've used. I've used Hangouts, Skype. They all suck. WebEx, GoTo have pluses and minuses, but they're not just a browser. You can't just put it on your phone without, doing all kinds of stuff. So they've always had technical problems. These guys have somehow figured out a way to simplify, added APIs to different softwares, whether it's Slack, whether it's, all these different things. Now, this thing scares me. I don't want to buy it. I don't want to buy it, but if you're looking for an opportunity, again, this is why I went from short-term to long-term. This thing kind of looks broken to me, but as long as 460 holds, we're okay, right? So we're only talking about taking a stab $24 below us. And today, after falling $100, again, this is probably going to be the time where you want to look at, establishing some type of position.
But again, I love, and believe me, I do the same thing. I call them those time fractals. And for me, that's imperative for the analysis, is to fractal in and fractal out, because just like that longer term chart. Yeah, I like buying them here down 420, but you understand the risk then when you look at that longer term profile. So there is so much air in this thing below there. For me, standard deviation modeling helps me with that for sure. Understanding where those other standard deviation levels are, and also for sure the longer term profile. Great way for you to stay out of trouble. And for me, so many times, the ability to stay out of trouble is so imperative for long-term success. I mean, I know too many people that have, being completely honest, have gotten that bad trade and have ruined their career over it.
Yeah.
And it can happen. And if you're not diligent about the risk side and getting yourself in trouble and then not being able to pull the trigger on an exit, or adding to a blatant loser because you're just frustrated or whatever. And again, anything that can bring those disciplines of evaluating the risk to the table for you, I think is imperative. So yeah, here on the 15-minute setup, big, thick profile, looks great to buy them down there. But when you fractal out, you have to understand that you need a risk protocol. I mean, and you and I both get frustrated in this space because everybody talks about their winners and very few people put out a trade that has that stop in and then are diligent to say, hey, I got stopped out.
Well, this is the thing. If you're trading a longer term chart, maybe you're looking at a rally to sell and get short, right? If you're trading a shorter term chart where we've been going down for the last 8-9 days in a row, hey, you're saying, hey, I'm just betting that it's not going to keep going every day for the next 20 days. But if it does, again, 450, let's say 450 is your bottom here. Your risk is really established. And at 486, that's only 36 points from here, which is, less than, 7-8% in risk. But you can get long, again, with in the money calls, you can get long with short puts, right? And then you have to manage that position if you don't. I mean, you can just buy straight out calls and your risk is going to be defined. So that's one thing that you can always do. And I think it's one way that, people don't even think this way, right? They just think, oh, I'm buying calls or I'm buying stock. A lot of people don't even think about selling puts. And in a volatility environment like we're in, where volatility is higher, it's okay to sell puts because you might be able to sell the 450s. I haven't looked at them, but you might be able to sell the 450s right now for, $10. So you're really getting long at 440. And those might expire next Friday. So you can go a week out. You don't even need a long time frame. You just have to manage this trade for the next 6 days, right? 6 or 7 days.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I love that concept of selling the puts to actually get in the market. And
couple other stocks I want to just bring up that people love. Peloton has been getting whacked here too, right? So again, everybody's talking about shutdowns, et cetera. Peloton hit 140. Again, these things all peak kind of with the market middle of October and is trading back down here to 116. Again, down almost 5% today. This profile is really heavy on it. We're looking at a 15-minute chart. This thing easily, I think right now, could go down to 102 in the short term. Now that doesn't, we're not talking fundamentals or anything again here. This chart just looks a little tired. I would say, look for rallies to sell or look for lower prices to buy. If you want the dip, it's here. We're 140 to 116. Again, $24. You're talking about a 12, 13, 14% pullback here. So people always talk about pullbacks. Now is the hard time to buy that pullback, right? If you want to get
exactly. I mean, it's always easy to say buy the dip until you have your hand on the mouse.
But what we try to do here is we try to present where the opportunities are and where, the areas of, strong hands are. And the next one really is, if we close here below 114, 102 comes into play pretty quickly. And then you have kind of that 102 to 92 area that kind of supports you a little bit. So there's all these different levels that are possible for you, but it's just, you have to be careful on your entries, and this is a respectful and great way to look at risk without having to, think too hard about it, I believe.
Yeah, so, no, I agree with you 100%, man.
Shopify is another one that's been getting hammered. And again, 1130 was the high. We're down here to 996. Again, let's call it 13%. These things are starting to get hit a little bit. Whoops, I accidentally leaned on my keyboard there. But Shopify has been getting hammered also. And these stocks are, they're expensive stocks. So not many people can trade these, at least unless you're trading fractionals, right? You
Right.
need, I mean, for you to buy 1,000 shares of Spotify, even with leverage, I mean, you're going to need $500,000 just to buy 1,000 shares. So options, again, you can control maybe a 10 lot, which is like having, and you can get it in the money. You could buy, again, I'd look to buy like 930 in the monies, maybe not here, but maybe soon. So these stocks are getting, they're starting to get haircuts. If I could pick up, maybe down here in the low 900s, I'd be interested. So a lot of things going on. We had talked earlier, I just want to follow up on this subject also, Bob. We had talked about the idea of oil and this XLE VGT spread.
Right.
And said that thing had gotten awfully, kind of run there. But this thing, is rolling back over here a little bit. And, I still think XLE on its own is getting to be, for the long-term buy and hold trader, is still looking good to me. I mean, we talked about this a couple days ago, and it made the turn. I mean, it traded down here to 27, already up to 28.33. And again, this is a ETF, so you don't have to buy Exxon, Schlumberger, Halliburton. You basically get the full portfolio by picking up XLE, and you can look at the components that, not only oil companies and gasoline companies, but, the picks and miners that go along with it.
Right. Well, I mean, the negative on oil for sure is a second lockdown, and that oil futures chart is displaying that.
Yeah, oil. I can bring that up. That's a good point. Oil actually pressed down today to a new low. It hit 35. I think 34s, high 34s. But again, this is a new low here for 20 days, obviously, and it's probably a multi-month low here. This is getting a little overextended, but you start to see like this is almost like that unlimited cast that we saw in markets for the, we traded $40 back here in June and just been grinding.
Right, exactly.
You start to see this profile very nicely. Remember, we went negatives in oil back in April, so that kind of sets up this chart to look kind of strange as it does. You got this tail that came as we traded all the way down to minus $44 a barrel. And now we've gone all the way back up to 44 positive. And guess what? We're hanging right around the area that we should hang, which is 35. We ticked it. We went into that hole. You can see that real nicely in there, Bob.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we're into that hole. And if we can't, if we can't turn around, that thing could go much lower here. So keep this in mind. You gotta. Yeah,
and on the standard deviation modeling, that lower band on the week is finally kicking south, indicative of weaker potential for sure.
Right.
So we'll see how much holiday travel is curtailed. I mean, this is getting nuts again, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
But it is what it is. So lockdowns are not great for oil prices.
Lockdowns are not good for business. Europe is shut down again. I mean, let's Spain, UK, Germany, and
France
have all shut down already, and Australia remains shut down pretty much along with New Zealand. So, folks, all these places are, and even Putin is, calling for, reduced exposure and shut down everything. But he's kind of, they got that communist, thumb on you mentality
anyway.
That's never changed. So that's
right.
That shouldn't surprise you.
All right, Matt. Great stuff as usual, as for par. Thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow for sure for a weekend wrap up, right? The weekly close, imperative, important of, for me, the close, and I know you agree, it's the game doesn't end until that final tick.
That's
and
right.
That final tick, incredibly important for me in my analysis.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right?
Weekend over day in over any price in the day. You got it, Bob.
Right on, pal. All right, man. Have a great one. Thank you.